Ahis lahla, incha isquis chastenma, incha spaus, talichast. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Native Wellness Institute Power Hour. Today, we are being sponsored by the Urban Indian Health Institute of the Seattle Indian Health Board. And today, I have a very special guest with us. His name is Scott Abrahamson, and he's going to be talking about the Indian relay race that so many of our tribes participate in from all over the Northwest. And actually, I don't even know where they all come from. That's something maybe Scott will tell us. But he's also the King of the Hill, the Omak Stampede Suicide Race champion. So we're going to be talking about that and just, all of the exciting connections that we have with horses as Indian people and how they play such a significant part in our lives, in children growing up on reservations, and just, how horses are just such beautiful, powerful beings that we connect to. So welcome, Scott, and I just want to give you some time to introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Scott Ibrahimson. I come from the Colville Reservation. I grew up in Cooley Dam. I'm currently living in Omak, Washington, and training horses right now.
Awesome. So I'm gonna get on so I can see that if there's anybody who has any questions. If any of you have any questions, feel free to post those questions in the chat, and I'll ask Scott those questions. But just to start off, Scott, what was it like for you growing up in Cooley Dam, Nispelum on the Colville Reservation? What was that like?
It was pretty quiet, small town. Not really a big city life. About every day I got done with school, I'd come home and ride horses until dark time and come in and repeat the process all over, hang out with friends, just normal high school stuff.
So Scott, who is your family on the Colville Indian Reservation?
So my mom's side is the Palmers, and it's a pretty big family in the Spelum. My grandpa's David Palmer. My uncle is Steve Palmer, and he runs a bucking stock all over. And then on my dad's side, it's the Abrahamsons, and we have a big family also in Omak and Wilpinit, and we're also Spokane's. So, and both sides were horse people. My grandpa from my dad's side was racing horses on the track about his entire life. And I have a uncle on the Spokane Res. His name's Randy Abrahamson. He still runs track horses. And yeah, I've just been around horses my entire life.
And, and I grew up in the Spelum, as my whole life pretty much. And so I was looking on your mom's page and I found this picture, and it's a picture of her as a little girl. Obviously she was pretty good. She has a couple of trophies that she's holding on to, and your other auntie is on there, Jaylene, and Louie Leskinen and Jackie. And so these are all little kids there. They were kind of younger than me. But how much of an influence were these guys in your life? Like, what did you go to rodeos all the time and growing up? That was just a part of your every weekend experience?
Yeah, I mean, my mom, she was rodeoing her entire life. She barrel raced and full bend, goat tied, all that. And when I was a little kid, she got me into rodeoing and brought me to rodeos about every single weekend, as far as I can remember. We traveled all over the place.
Awesome. And we have Mike Roper on, and he was asking about Leroy Abrahamson. So maybe you can, so Leroy's your dad, right?
Yeah, he was my dad. He relayed and raced his entire life. He raced the flat track, the suicide race, the Pony Express, Indian relay, and about any other mountain race that there was out there, up in Canada, Oregon, Montana, anything out there he was racing.
Awesome. Well, Mike is saying he knew your dad, so on the Facebook chat. So that's awesome. And I grew up with Leroy too, as kids, and he was a wild guy, just funny and just happy go lucky. He was a great person. So so that's exciting. So then we're going to just like, if you could just maybe talk about like, who were some of your role models when you were little?
Yeah, so my role models, not even like involving horse racing, I'd have to say just like as that impacted my life would have to be my mom and my grandpa and my grandma. They were probably the closest family I had. I was always with one of them any day of the week. And my mom worked since I was 3 months old, and having a kid now, I know how hard that is, having a full-time job and being a single parent. And my grandpa working, even if it was 5 hours away, he'd wake up and drive down there just to have a steady income. And if that was waking up at 2, 3 in the morning, and still today he does that. And yeah, my grandma did the same thing. So they were really a big impact on my life. And my mom like developed these skills as I was a young kid. As in school, I would have to come home after school and work on my homework at least a couple hours before I went out and hung out with my friends or did anything with the horses. I had to get my schoolwork done first. So I think that was a really big like my success in college, because I still continued that before I did anything after college or anything.
Wow, that's awesome. So even though your mom was raising you by herself, she instilled in you to make sure that you did your homework and got your education. That's awesome. And so when you first started to learn how to ride horses, who taught you? Who was the one that like helped you learn?
To be honest, I don't really know. I was really young when I first started riding horses. It had to have been my dad or my mom. I remember we would always go behind the house, and I'd either be riding doubles with my dad or my mom, and we'd go for rides. And I wouldn't even be controlling the horse or anything, just sitting on it because I was too small, riding around and getting bucked off or doing something crazy that day. Yeah, I always had these little ponies and would ride them around at the rodeos and everything.
That's awesome. I know. And so I and this is a picture for everybody. That this is Scott's mom Gina and his grandma. And like he said, those were the ones that were most influential in his life. And again, this is just another picture of them growing up. And so do you want to talk about this picture? We kind of talked about it a little bit before.
Yeah, so this was kind of before I even started getting into racing. I was about 13 or 14 years old, I would guess. And the two kids on my right is Wyatt Covington and Josiah Dizitel, and they were bull riders. So they were always trying to get me into the rodeo arena, but this wasn't for me. And that's Kaylin Marchand on the left, and she's a cowgirl and barrel races and goat ties and ropes and everything in the rodeo she does. But we did the wild colt race or wild horse race. I believe it was a wild colt race. We were too young to enter the wild horse race. And I'm not totally sure on this picture, but we usually won the wild colt races where you have to mug them down, and then I'd be the jockey and have to get on and ride the colt across the arena.
Wow. So how old were you when you did that? I do remember.
I'm sorry, you broke up. What was that?
Oh, I said, how old were you? Like in your teens?
Yeah, during this picture, I was probably 13 to 14, be my guess.
Awesome. So this is you, and these are some of the coolest pictures like that I've ever seen. Like I just think these are the most beautiful pictures of the strength and the endurance that it takes to be an Indian relay racer. So can you talk a little bit about Indian relay and when you first started, and like what it was like to win the races and the work that goes into it?
I started relay when I was about 15. I probably did the junior relays where you only use two horses. And then when I was 16, I started with my Uncle Jonathan. We ended up buying horses together from Emerald Downs and creating our own team. And I think in about 2016 is when we really hit the relay trail hard. And it was tough starting out at first because I was one of the youngest jockeys out there, racing up against all the veterans like Narcissus and Tyler and Oliver and all them guys that have been champions before. And I would say my first big win that probably put us up there and got our name out there was, I think it was in 2017. We won Browning over on the Blackfeet Reservation. And we won a few other local races before in 2016, but in 2017, we were in a really tough championship heat and we ended up winning the whole weekend. And after that, I think our name was kind of out there that we were a force to be reckoned with. But a lot of time goes into Indian relay. We train, or after I work, I go up there and gallop all my horses, and sometime in between there, I try to run at least 2 to 3 miles and work out when I can.
Wow. And this is a picture of your mom and your grandpa, so they must have been so proud of you that when you won that first race in Browning. And what did it feel like though, like to win, to like beat all those other teams? Was it just like, did you realize at that moment like this is something you're gonna just keep doing and you want to get better?
Yeah, after you even win just a little heat race, you ever feel like you're on top of the world, and then it just hooks you right there. You're gonna do it the rest of your life, no matter what. And this picture was taken after Emerald. We won the championship there, and it's it means a lot because my grandpa and my mom were there. But it's hard to get my grandpa to go to any races because, especially this one, there's a lot of walking. Got to walk at least a couple of miles to go to the track. But I finally talked him into going to Emerald one year and we ended up winning it. So it was nice to have him there.
Wow. So when you won Emerald, like how much money do you win?
To win the championship, usually it pays $10,000. It varies on the different tracks you go to, but Emerald is probably one of the bigger races that we participate in throughout the years.
And you have to win it, and you have to win like how many races do you actually race to become the champion?
So we race usually 3 days. The first 2 days are heat races, and that's to get into the championship. So you have to place within usually the top three, and then you get seeded into the championship.
Wow. So are these, like, I think these are kind of a mixture of pictures of Indian relay and I don't know if this one's suicide racing, but how important is the team? Like what does all the team do?
The team is probably the most important in Indian relay. It's they make me look good, but yeah. So Jonathan, he's on the right. He's my holder, and Bodine's my catcher. And then we actually got a new team member this year, but he's not in this photo. And so the holder holds the horse that I'm jumping on, and the catcher catches the one I'm jumping off. And then we have a third guy. He's the out holder, and we just do that twice around the track. But I mean, all summer the team's together 24/7, usually on for even if it's during the week when you're training or on the weekends when you're traveling, going to races, where it's kind of just we almost become a family just traveling on the road so much. You have to put up with each other.
And try to get along.
Yeah, we have arguments, wrestling matches, all that kind of stuff, making each other mad when we're out there.
Everybody's ego gets involved and
Yeah. We just try not to let it affect us on the track, or it's just all laughs. So
so do you have like so like are you the one that coordinates everything, or who coordinates you guys, like to be like, okay, this is what we're doing? Do you have somebody who does that, or is that you?
no, we try not to do that because I feel like it's had success on our team that we just don't have one specific person saying he's the boss over everybody or the horses. Even if I own some of the horses or Jonathan owns some of the horses, and if we put more time into them, even though, so if we come up with a big decision, we meet as a team and ask each other if this is a good idea, and we just try to be as fair as possible so there's no arguments after the races like, oh, we could have won because of this and it's your fault. So we try to just keep it as open as possible, and um, like just not be one-sided or biased to anyone's opinion.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's good, because it must, like definitely that would be hard. So how much does one of these Indian relay horses cost?
It varies throughout the years. Even when I started, and looking back of even if you go back 10 years, they were just pasture horses or just race horses that you kind of legged up and trained. But I mean, they can range anywhere from $1,000 to 5,000 to 8,000, 10,000. Is the more you spend, the faster they are. But I mean, you can have the fastest horse in the world, and then if he doesn't stop or stand, he's not going to be a relay horse. But usually, especially with Indian relay getting as big as it is now at all these bigger tracks, and the more money you win, you see that's all these teams do wherever we travel, the Indian relay. So if they win a big race and win $10,000, you can bet the next week and they're going to spend $10,000 on a horse and go and try to outrun you the next week, and also.
Yeah, well then, and that kind of makes sense. So one of the people watching asked, are you going to be in Oklahoma? Are you guys going to be racing in Oklahoma? Do you know?
Yeah, we're signed up right now and we're hoping that race goes. So as of now, in the circumstances, yes, we're going. But we were also signed up for a race at the beginning of May and they just postponed it. So we're hoping that the Oklahoma race goes. I mean, we got our horses trained and going, so hopefully we'll be ready.
Yeah. And where else do they race? Like, where does Indian relay, where does it, like, because there's people who watch from Wisconsin, and like this lady's like, do they race in Wisconsin, or like where all do you guys go?
We usually go wherever the races are. I mean, it's getting bigger right now. When I first started, we were just kind of local, only racing in Washington. And as we got better, as the Indian relay progressed, you see it down in Oklahoma now. This is our first time going to Oklahoma. If we go down there, we race all the way over in Minnesota, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon. And I mean, if they got a big race in Wisconsin, we're probably going to go. So if there's a good track and the money is put up, we're going to travel to go to them. It's just kind of having to work out the deal and with the tracks and trying to get Indian relay involved on that state or track or wherever the location we're going to.
Wow. So we have somebody who's watching from New York City, and so and just different places. So can you just, like, some people might have no idea what Indian relay is. So what do you actually like do? And I'm gonna, while you're talking about that, I'm gonna try to find a video, because your mom sent me a video, and see if we can just actually show it.
Okay. So Indian relay is a Native American sport that you take 3 race horses, and they're all bareback. And you have 3 teammates and the jockey. And you go out there with the first horse, and there's usually 6 to 7 teams, depending on the track size, all lined up. So the jockeys come up to the line, there's 6 of us, and then all the teams are on the front stretch against the rail, the outside rail. And on the first horse, we go around when the race has started, and we come into our team. We come into our team, jump off, and jump on our next horse, and we go around the track and come into our team again and jump off and jump on our last horse. And so that consists of 3 laps around the track, and the first one to finish wins.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to share, and because your mom did send me a video, so I'm gonna try to share that because I think you have to kind of see it to like understand it.
And these young men are good bareback. How about for Indian relay racers today?
You can hear your mom. Let's go, son!
We have some very close horse races amongst spectators. Absolutely exciting today. That is Whistling on team. We got a horse race today. Look at this, look at this. Nice and close. That's the perfect Ibrahimson team.
So you're literally like jumping off a horse and jumping on another horse. So the transfer is super important, huh?
Yeah, that's the most important of the race.
I love the excitement in your mom's voice. She's just like, let's go! You can just hear it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me get.
Are probably the most important of the race.
Yeah. So okay, say that again, because I was trying to stop the video.
I was just saying, just elaborating on what you said. Usually the race is won and lost during your exchanges. You see, if you mess up a little bit, you're going to get beat. So usually there's no dominant team. It's whoever's going to have the cleanest exchanges is going to win the race. Even if you have the fastest horses on the track, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely. You can see that. And somebody asked, was that in Pendleton? I think that was Pendleton, wasn't it? Yeah,
that was in Pendleton, Oregon. That's one of the smallest tracks we race on. It's only a quarter mile. So especially at that track, it's the exchanges count because your horses barely get going and you're coming around and having to pull up and come in. So it's usually, and it's really hard to pass on that track because the corners are so sharp and there's like no back stretch on that track. So if you're behind, you gotta come in hot and make your exchange as fast as you can to pass somebody on that track.
Yeah. So do you guys like do you just feel like spiritually connected to your horses? And is it a spiritual thing when you race?
Yeah, it's just hard to say, like, if you're talking about like our ancestors, how they were spiritually connected. They were riding for totally different reasons what we're riding for. I mean, they were riding to go into war and all this other, in the battle, and we're out there to put on a show and have fun. But yeah, I mean, you can't just go, if you take any horse that you haven't rode or done anything with them, then there's no connection between them. I mean, I'm up there every day. If it's feeding, watering, putting shoes on them, galloping them, just being with them, you kind of got to know your horses. The ones that are a little bit crazy, the ones that are a little bit calm, and even traveling, you know what they act like and do. So when you get out on the track, you know how to handle them. You can't just take any horse that is given to you and go out there and Indian relay them. It's a way different sport.
Yeah, yeah, it's like no other. And so how many times has your team won since that first win?
I'm not sure. I don't really keep count or have a tally board or anything, but we won a few championships here and there throughout the years.
Is there one that, like, a loss that sticks out in your mind, or a win that sticks out that was just like a heartbreaker, or it was like the best feeling?
Yeah, there's a few races that are, I mean, I really don't like losing, so if there's really any loss, then I'm pretty pissed. But usually the races where it's my fault, it really brings me down, especially if the horses all ran good and my team performed at their best, and it's just something that physically I couldn't jump on, or I pulled up a little bit too soon, or I didn't come in hot enough. Those little things really eat me alive. When I'm watching the videos, I could have done something different, but I mean, I try to fix that the next race. Um, there's a few, I really get off on the races that we either start, like the start's really important in the relay because you want to be at least in the front of the pack. So if you kind of start in the back and there's a team leading it the entire way and you just keep gaining ground throughout the race, like on your first exchange, if you're in dead last, you catch up and you're in third, and then you come in and make another good exchange, and then on your last lap you're in first. I mean, those are the ones that really get the team pumped and you pumped, just adrenaline going like crazy. Those are the fun ones. Yeah, it's not really fun, or I mean, I don't want to say it's not fun winning, but it's just not as memorable with the ones that you just win really easy by half a lap. It's the nose to nose, the ones that are really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so now let's talk about the Omak Stampede Suicide Race. So this is definitely something that is unique to the Colville tribe. The suicide race has been going on for many years. I don't even know the number. If I had Rainey on here, she would be able to tell me, or maybe your mom or somebody can tell me how long the suicide race has been going. But the Omak Stampede Suicide Race is an intense race where, as riders, you guys are on top of a hill and they shoot the gun and you go barreling off the suicide hill, hit the water, go across the river and up into the arena. And one of the most awesome videos I seen in my life was somebody had videoed it, and Tommy Waters, little Tommy Waters, goes completely under the water. Like, he is like, you don't even see him. And then he comes bursting out and he's still whipping his horse as he's crossing the river. I mean, that's the coolest video ever. And so, I mean, it's just really intense. And so, I have pictures here of you guys going down the hill and hitting the water and swimming across the water. And, it's just like, it's so amazing. Like, it's the most adrenaline rush. Like, when did you first think, I'm going to go down the hill? Like, when did that happen?
As far as I can remember, when I was a little kid, my dad has always been in the suicide race, and I would be at the carnival at the Omak Stampede, and I would leave the carnival just to go watch the race. And ever since I was young, I knew I was going to be racing in the race. I mean, every time we'd come into town at Omak, we'd come off the grade, and my dad would always ask me where the Suicide Hill is, and I'd always point at it, and I just knew I was going to be racing in it someday.
Wow. So at what age did you first go down the hill, and what did that feel like?
I'm sorry, what was that? You cut out.
At what age did you first go down the hill, and what did that feel like?
Really cut. So I got the age part, but what was the rest of that sentence?
Just what was it like?
Okay. So I was 16 years old when I first participated in the OMAC suicide race, but I've been around it ever since I started getting into racing, since I was 13, 14 years old. I tried to at least practice when I was 15, but they had a rule to where you had to be 16 to even go up on top of the hill. So the first year I practiced, we raced, and I don't think you have the picture, but my friend Taryn, he was in one of those pictures that you showed previously. He's the same age as me, and we both were 16 when we first came off the hill, and they have a picture of us coming across the water our first times. And yeah, it was just a historical picture, seemed like. But the first 2 nights, I didn't finish the race. I wrecked. Saturday night, I came in, which felt like an accomplishment because every time I hit the water, my horse went down and I was getting run over. So when I made it halfway across the river, I thought I was going to win it. And then Sunday, I wrecked again. So I had to practice a lot that next year to at least finish the race.
So how many times did you race before you actually won?
So I first raced when I was 16, and then the next year I was 17, and I ended up winning the overall. And if you're talking about like, so we race 4 days, and then if there's more than 20 riders, then we have to have an elimination week the week before the suicide race. So, I mean, if there's usually we're racing 5 times off that hill, but the ones that count starts on Thursday through Sunday. And then the better you place in every night, the more points you get to count towards the overall. And that's kind of the only thing that counts in the end. That's how you get crowned King of the Hill.
Wow. So this is a picture of you in when you hit the water.
Yeah, that was the first year I rode that horse. His name's Eagle, and I believe it was 2015, and that was the year we ended up winning it.
Oh wow! So is it scary though? Like, do you get scared?
No, not really. It's just nerves, adrenaline, all going. I mean, I've been training for this since I was a little kid, riding ponies or any kind of horse, racing off a hill or racing our friends off of a hill. And I was actually racing in races similar to this prior to my 16 years of age. So it wasn't nothing really different, but it was the 19 other riders was definitely a game changer. I mean, the other races I performed in that were similar to the suicide race, there was maybe a maximum of 5 people. So, I mean, 19 other guys, that really make a difference in the race. All the bumping and all that stuff coming off the hill, that's what makes it a little bit more dangerous.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And so what is this horse? What's this horse's name?
On the left, that paint horse,
Mm-hmm.
that one's name is Kinky. That was the first horse I was mountain racing on. And so I was racing off hills in Oregon and on the Spokane reservation. And we were winning quite a bit of those races. And then that was the first horse I raced in the suicide race. But he was a little bit smaller than Eagle in size, so he couldn't really take the bumping with everybody. So I think that was kind of had an impact on him of why he wasn't a great horse for that. but if it was coming off a hill, he was really fast. But yeah, he just couldn't take the abuse of hitting the other horses, and the 4 nights in a row is really tough on a horse too.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. And what about the other horse?
That one is Eagle. So the one on the left, I raced in multiple races throughout the year before I went to the suicide race, and Eagle was specifically just for the suicide race. And he was a little bit bigger and a little bit stouter, and he just loved that race. So I think that's why we made such a good team. We both wanted to win.
That's awesome. So then, you know, not only are you a suicide racer and an Indian relay racer, but you also went to Eastern Washington University and you were on the dean's list for 4 years and got your degree in mechanical engineering. So what was your motivation to get a degree in mechanical engineering?
Well, starting out, my motivation was to get an education, make a bunch of money, and buy a bunch of racehorses. That's why I really wanted to go. But in high school, I did an internship through my high school, and we went to the Bureau of Reclamation, and I got exposed to electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and I really enjoyed math and science. So I wanted to progress in one of those courses or get my degree in something that involves those. And I was originally thinking civil engineer until I did that internship, and then I really liked mechanical engineering. So that's kind of how I got on that track. And it just, I really like the degree itself. I learned a lot of everything. I look at the world different, it seems like, as in just anything that is around me. But yeah, I would travel back almost every weekend if it was starting in the spring, and I would train on the weekends, and Jonathan would train the horses during the week. And during the fall time when I'd start up, I would travel every weekend to go racing. So it was pretty tough doing both of those, but I was able to manage and got through it.
So when it got hard, Scott, like trying to manage and be away, you know, from home and in college, you know, what did you do? Like, what are the things that helped you push through it? Because a lot of our Indian students, when they go away from home, they really struggle to, you know, stay there because, you know, we're so close to our families, we're so close to, you know, and then you have you know, people get sick or somebody dies, and we're also interrelated and interconnected, and you know, like how did you push through that time and get your degree? What was it that kept you motivated?
Mainly just the standards that I was held to. I mean, my mom and everyone else in my family expected me to go to college, and I had my mindset on a degree, so they expected me to graduate and get the degree. And yeah, it was tough being just a little reservation Indian boy running around and then going back to college, because I never really wanted to leave the res. It seemed like even just going out of town for a few weekends, it was a little tough if you stayed a few weeks away from home. Got really homesick, and at 18 you have to go and stay by yourself 4 hours away from home, so it was pretty tough. That's what I think really helped me, was going back and seeing family on weekends, or if they would come and visit, and then really just being involved in school and having friends at college. That was a big thing, because it's really easy to go to college and then just be cooped up in a dorm all day and not get out and experience college life. So I feel like if you go out and have a good time, make new friends, and even if your old friends would come down and hang out with you, that's really had a big impact on me, on my success in college anyways.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really really proud of you. And you know, when I talked to your mom, she, you know, she said the thing that she's most proud of is that you got your degree, and now you have a beautiful family, and you're a father. And so how has being a father changed your life?
It's been tough. It was scary at first and still a little scary at times, but I just had to stop putting myself first, really. And so now she comes first in my life, and not working to buy new racehorses or new snowmobiles or all this. Gotta work for her now.
And what's her name?
Her name's Pacey Abrahamson.
Oh, well, she's adorable. Congratulations on being a father, becoming a father, and being able to share this life with your daughter now. And I'm sure that your mom is gonna have her with you on horses before she can walk. She's probably already been on horses. You
Yeah,
just
she was a
carry.
few weeks old, and we put her on a horse and took her first picture on a horse.
That's awesome. Wow. So is there anything you want to talk about that you want to share with people who are watching about, just anything?
I don't really know. I would say anyone that's thinking about going to college, go and test the water, see how it is, and have fun doing it. Don't just set yourself to any low standards, and just because you make a little bit of money. So this was the thing in high school. It seemed that kids would go and get a job, and then they make a little bit of money, and I'm not going to college. But after you get your degree, you make a lot more money.
That's good advice, Scott. I think that's great advice. I think it took me, 25 years to finally get my bachelor's done. And, I just, kept putting it off. And it was because I was making good money. I was like, well, what do I need a degree for? But
Yeah,
I did need that degree because I got like twice as much pay once I finally got that degree. It was awesome.
yeah, and it's hard when I never did it, but I know a few kids that did would take a gap year from high school and to college. Say I'm gonna take a gap year, well, they never go back. Or even if you do 2 years and then take a quarter off, it's really hard to go back. So I would just say stay consistent and be motivated.
Yeah. Well, that's great advice for anybody that's listening. And I think as parents, I think we as parents have to have expectations. Like your mom expected you to go to college, your grandma and grandpa were like, no, you're going to college. And sometimes I think we have kids that don't have anybody, that expects them, like, are they set the bar as just graduate from high school. And so when the bar's set at that, then it's really like people don't even think beyond high school. They're just like, well, I made it, I graduated, so I think that's really important that, people set higher expectations of our young people so that we will have more college graduates. And, so well, I just want to wish you the best of luck this year as you guys go out there for the Indian Relay. And did they decide, are they going to have Omac Stampede this year?
Yeah, they're gonna have it this year.
They are?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll be expecting to see you come running off that suicide hill. So I just want to say, Limlam, thank you, Scott, for being with us today and for sharing your story with all of our viewers. And I just hope you have a great weekend this weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody. That's our power hour for today. Everybody have a great weekend.